The twin crimson moons of Xeris cast their eerie glow across the bioluminescent forest, turning the crystalline bark of ancient trees into prisms of dancing light. Kira pressed her recording device against the pulsing stem of a rare moonflower, its petals shifting from deep purple to silver as it responded to the lunar energy above. Her people, the Vexari, had been studying these phenomena for centuries, but something about tonight felt different. Kira's elongated fingers, tipped with natural bioluminescent patches that helped her navigate in darkness, traced the flowers. Delicate structure. Her species had evolved on this world of perpetual twilight, developing enhanced night vision and an innate connection to the planet's unique energy patterns. Standing nearly 7 feet tall with graceful willowy limbs and skin that shimmered with a faint, opalescent sheen, she moved through the forest with practiced ease. A thunderous crash shattered the night's tranquility. The sound came from beyond, the Crystal Ridge, where no Vexari settlement existed for hundreds of miles. Kira's large, almond-shaped eyes, evolved to capture every photon of available light, turned toward the disturbance. Her people's first law was clear: investigate all anomalies that might threaten their world's delicate ecosystem. Following the trail of broken vegetation and scorched earth, Kira discovered something that made her breath catch. A metallic craft, unlike anything in Vexari technology, lay embedded in a crater of melted crystal. Steam rose from its twisted hull, and strange symbols marked its surface. But what truly shocked her was the figure stumbling from the wreckage. The being was shorter than any Vexari, perhaps only 6 feet tall, with skin that held no luminescence. It wore coverings that seemed synthetic, not grown like Vexari garments. Most startling of all, it walked on 2 legs like her people, but its proportions were different, more compact, more solid. Blood, red like her own, seeped from wounds. On its face and arms, Dante collapsed just as Kira approached, his consciousness fading after the trauma of the crash. She knelt beside him, her advanced medical training overriding her shock. His breathing was labored but steady, his pulse strong. Beneath her fingers, as she touched his forehead to check for fever, something unexpected happened. A flash of images flooded her mind. Through some inexplicable connection, she saw fragments of his memories, vast oceans under a yellow sun, cities of impossible height, beings like him laughing and embracing. She saw the inside of his vessel, banks of incomprehensible technology, and most clearly, his name, Dante. The Vexari Council had ancient protocols regarding unknown species. Any contact was forbidden without their approval, and the penalties for violation were severe. But as Kira looked down at this injured being, this human, as his memories suggested, she couldn't simply leave him to die. His eyes opened then, startlingly blue, like the rare crystals found in Xeris's deepest caves. They widened with fear and confusion as they met hers. He spoke words she couldn't understand, his voice carrying tones of panic and pain. Kira made a decision that would change both their lives forever. Lifting Dante with strength born of her planet's lighter gravity, she carried him toward her hidden research outpost. As she moved through the glowing forest, his weight warm against her, she wondered if she was saving him or dooming them both. The crimson moons watched silently as 2 worlds collided in the arms of a botanist who had always been too curious for her own good. Kira's research outpost lay concealed within a grove of singing crystals, their natural harmonics masking any sounds from detection equipment. She had built this sanctuary over several years, using it to study the planet's most sensitive specimens away from the Council's oversight. Now it would serve a far more dangerous purpose. Dante drifted in and out of consciousness as she treated his injuries with Vexari healing compounds. The bioluminescent gel she applied to his wounds accelerated cellular repair, and she watched, in fascination as his alien physiology responded positively to her world's natural medicines. His skin, so different from her opalescent surface, felt warm and strangely comforting under her touch. On the third day, he spoke his first coherent words, "Where am I?" His voice was deeper than any Vexari male's, carrying a resonance that sent unexpected shivers through her. Kira activated her translation matrix, a device that analyzed linguistic patterns and built communication bridges. "You are safe," she managed in his language, the unfamiliar sounds awkward on her tongue. Dante's blue eyes focused on her fully for the first time, taking in her ethereal beauty. Her skin seemed to glow from within, shifting between silver and pale gold as emotions played across her features. When she smiled tentatively, he saw that her teeth were slightly pointed, adapted for a different diet than his own. "You're not human," he whispered, more in wonder than fear. "And you are not Vexari," she replied, her accent making the words musical. "What are you called?" As days passed, they shared their stories. Dante told her of Earth, of blue skies and yellow suns, of a species that had reached for the stars despite their conflicts. He had been part of a deep space exploration mission when his ship was caught in a gravitational anomaly that hurled him across the galaxy. Kira spoke of Xeris, of her people's harmony with their world, of the Council's strict laws that governed all contact with unknown species. She explained her work with the planet's unique flora, how the bioluminescent plants were actually sentient in their own way, forming a planetary consciousness that the Vexari had learned to commune with centuries ago. Their conversations grew, longer, more intimate. Dante would watch her work, mesmerized by the way her hands glowed brighter when she was excited about a discovery. Kira found herself drawn to his stories of human culture, especially their music and art born from struggle rather than harmony. One evening, as the crimson moons reached their zenith, Dante reached out and gently touched one of the luminescent patches on Kira's arm. The contact sent waves of sensation through both of them, and she gasped at the unexpected intensity. "Does it hurt?" he asked, concerned. "No," she whispered, her voice trembling. "It feels... I have never felt anything like this." The attraction between them had been building since his arrival, but now it blazed into something neither could deny. When Dante cupped her face in his hands, her skin brightened responsively, creating patterns of light that reflected her emotional state. "This is impossible," Kira breathed, even as she leaned into his touch. "The best things usually are," Dante replied, before their lips met in a kiss that bridged two worlds. But outside the sanctuary, Vexari search teams had been expanding their patrols, investigating the strange energy readings from the crash site. Time was running out for their hidden paradise. The weeks that followed transformed both their lives in ways neither had imagined possible. What began as tentative exploration evolved into a passion that consumed them completely. Kira's bioluminescent responses to Dante's touch created light, shows of incredible beauty, her skin painting their nights in colors that had no names in either of their languages. Their first night of complete intimacy came during a rare celestial alignment when both moons were dark. In the absolute darkness of the sanctuary, Kira's natural luminescence was their only light, making her appear like a living constellation against the shadows. "You're so beautiful," Dante whispered, tracing the glowing patterns that spiraled across her shoulders and down her arms. Each touch intensified her radiance, creating feedback loops of sensation that left them both breathless. Kira marveled at the warmth of his skin, so different from the cool touch she was accustomed to with her own species. His heartbeat, faster than a Vexari's, thrummed against her chest as they explored each other's bodies with reverent curiosity. Their lovemaking was a dance of discovery, learning how their different physiologies could create harmony together. Kira's elongated fingers mapped the contours of Dante's more compact frame, while his hands learned to read the emotional language written in light across her skin. In the aftermath, as they lay entwined beneath the crystal formations that sang, lullabies in harmonics only Vexari could fully appreciate, they shared their deepest fears and dreams. "On Earth," Dante murmured against her glowing shoulder, "we have a concept called soulmates, people destined to find each other across any distance, any obstacle." Kira's luminescence pulsed gently at his words. "The Vexari believe in the concept of Jezara, the binding of two souls across the cosmic web, but it was always theoretical. I never thought that it could happen between different species." She turned in his arms, her large eyes reflecting the soft light of her own skin. "That it could feel this right when everything says it's wrong." Their conversations grew deeper as their physical connections strengthened. Kira shared the loneliness of being one of the few Vexari who questioned their society's rigid structures, while Dante spoke of feeling lost among the stars, searching for something he couldn't name until he found her. They created their own rituals of intimacy. Dante would play music from his ship's databanks, while Kira's skin responded to the melodies with cascading patterns of light. She taught him to read the language of her luminescence, how different colors and intensities conveyed emotions her species had no words for, but their paradise was fragile. Each day brought new challenges as they struggled to hide their relationship. Kira had to maintain her regular check-ins with the Research Council, fabricating explanations for her extended absences. Dante helped modify her communication equipment to mask their location, his technical knowledge proving invaluable. The strain was beginning to show. Kira's luminescence would flicker anxiously when she thought about the consequences of discovery. The Vexari Council didn't just exile violators of contact protocols, they performed memory reconstruction, essentially erasing the offending individual's personality and replacing it with a compliant version. "Maybe we should run," Dante suggested one night, as they held each other close. "Find a way off this planet before they discover us." Kira's light dimmed with sadness. "Leave Xeris. I have never been away from the planetary consciousness. I might not survive the separation." It was a reminder of how different they truly were and how many obstacles lay between them and any possible future together. But in the warm glow of her embrace, those obstacles seemed surmountable. They were wrong. The betrayal came from an unexpected source. Kira's research assistant Vex had grown suspicious of her mentor's frequent absences and secretive behavior. Following Kira to the sanctuary during what should have been a routine botanical survey, Vex discovered the impossible. A member of an unknown species living freely on Xeris. The Council's response was swift and merciless. Kira was arrested at dawn, bio-restraints preventing her from using her species' natural abilities to escape. As armed guards surrounded the sanctuary, Dante watched helplessly from his hiding place as they dragged away the woman he loved. The trial was a foregone conclusion. Standing before the 7-member council in their chamber, carved from living crystal, Kira faced charges that carried only one penalty: complete personality reconstruction, followed by exile to the mining colonies. "You have violated our most sacred laws," intoned Elder Thane, his ancient voice echoing through the crystalline walls. "Contact with unknown species without authorization threatens not just our security, but our very identity as a people." "He was dying," Kira replied, her restraints preventing her natural luminescence from responding to her emotional state. "Would you have me abandon compassion for protocol? You have done more than offer aid," another council member accused. "Our scans detect foreign genetic markers in your system. You have contaminated yourself with this alien's essence." The shame in the elder's voice cut deeper than any physical wound. In Vexari culture, intimate contact with non-Vexari was considered the ultimate corruption, a pollution that could theoretically spread through their psychically connected society. Meanwhile, Dante had managed to access his ship's communication array. Though damaged, he could send a distress signal toward Earth space, knowing it would take years to reach any human outpost. But he wasn't trying to escape. He was documenting everything, ensuring their story would survive even if they didn't. The execution of Kira's sentence was scheduled for the next lunar alignment. But Dante had spent his weeks in hiding studying Vexari technology, and he had discovered something remarkable. The bio-restraints used on criminals operated on the same frequency as the planetary consciousness network. With the right modifications to his ship's systems, he could disrupt them. The rescue came during Kira's transport to the reconstruction facility. As the hover transport passed through a crystal canyon, Dante's modified ship emerged from its hiding place, its human technology interfacing with Vexari systems in ways their builders never anticipated. The bio-restraints failed. Kira's luminescence exploded back to life, temporarily blinding her guards. In the confusion, Dante extracted her from the transport, the ship rising into the twilight sky as pursuit vessels scrambled to respond. "You came back for me," Kira gasped as they broke through Xeris's atmosphere. "Did you think I wouldn't?" Dante replied, his hands steady on controls jury-rigged to respond to both human and Vexari interfaces. "We're soulmates, remember? Jayara across the cosmic web." But their escape had cost them everything. Kira was now a permanent exile, cut off from the planetary consciousness that had shaped her entire existence. The psychic silence was deafening, leaving her feeling hollow and incomplete. Behind them, the Vexari fleet was gaining, their ships, faster and more maneuverable than Dante's damaged craft. They had perhaps minutes before capture and certain death. There, Kira pointed to a section of space that seemed to shimmer strangely. "The old stories speak of doorways between worlds, but I thought they were myth." "Sometimes myths are just science we don't understand yet," Dante replied, turning their ship toward the anomaly. "Together, always," Kira whispered, her hand covering his on the controls. They plunged into the unknown. The jump through the spatial anomaly felt like being torn apart and reassembled at the molecular level. When the sensation finally ended, they found themselves in a star system unlike any in their respective databases, a place where the laws of physics seemed more flexible, where the boundary between dimensions was thin. The planet they chose for their new home orbited a binary star system, its days painted in gold and silver light. Neither purely Vexari nor human in its makeup, the world seemed to respond to both their biologies, adapting to provide what each of them needed to survive. In their first months together, they built more than just a shelter. They created a new way of being. Kira's connection to living systems helped them cultivate food that nourished both their species, while Dante's technical knowledge established communication arrays and environmental controls. The hardest adjustment was Kira's separation from the Vexari collective consciousness. For weeks, she grieved the loss of that connection, her luminescence dim and erratic. But gradually, she discovered that her bond with Dante provided a different kind of completeness, not the vast, impersonal network of her homeworld, but something deeper and more intimate. "I can feel your dreams," she told him one night, as they lay beneath alien constellations, her skin painting gentle patterns across his chest. "And I can see your emotions in light," he replied, kissing the glowing tracery that spiraled around her collarbone. "Maybe we're creating our own form of consciousness together." Their physical relationship continued to evolve as they adapted to their new world. The planet's unique electromagnetic field seemed to enhance their connection, allowing them to share not just pleasure, but actual thoughts and emotions during their most intimate moments. They were becoming something new together, not human, not Vexari, but a synthesis of both. Years passed. They explored their adopted world, cataloguing its wonders and establishing sustainable systems. Dante's Earth training in xenobiology complemented Kira's botanical expertise, and together they unlocked secrets of biointegration that neither species had achieved alone. They weren't entirely alone either. The spatial anomaly occasionally delivered other refugees, beings from dozens of different species who had been exiled, lost, or simply seeking something beyond the boundaries of their own worlds. Slowly, a small community grew around their settlement. Kira became known as the Light Bringer, her bioluminescence helping other species adapt to the planet's unique conditions. Dante earned the title of Bridge Builder, his ability to interface different technologies, making communication possible between wildly diverse cultures. On the 10th anniversary of their arrival, as they stood together watching the binary sunset paint the sky in impossible colors, Kira's luminescence took on new patterns, ones Dante had learned to recognize. "Really?" he asked, his voice filled with wonder and joy. She nodded, her entire body glowing with happiness. "The medical scanners confirm it. Our child will be something entirely new, a bridge between worlds in living form." Dante pulled her close, feeling the life growing within her respond to his presence with tiny flickers of light. Their love had created more than just happiness. It had created a new form of life that carried the best of both their species. News of their colony had begun to spread through the dimensional nexus. Ships arrived carrying refugees and explorers, scientists and dreamers. Their forbidden love had become the foundation for something larger, a place where the impossible was not just possible, but celebrated. In the years that followed, their children, each one unique, carrying different combinations of human and Vexari traits, became ambassadors to the stars. The story of Kira and Dante, the botanist and the pilot who loved across species lines, spread throughout the galaxy. Some called it legend, others called it hope. But for those who knew them, who saw the light in Kira's eyes when she looked at Dante, who witnessed the gentle way he tended the gardens they had planted together, it was simply the truth that love, in all its forms, finds a way to flourish even in the darkest reaches of space. The crimson moons of Xeris still rose each night, but now they illuminated a galaxy forever changed by two hearts that refused to accept the boundaries others had drawn around them.